coming up on Arirang News. The number of cases of COVID-19 reported in South Korea on Wednesday was back above 100, with a worrying number of them not traceable. The South Korean government announces plans to distribute the latest round of COVID-19 relief funds to small business owners and freelancers before the Chuseok holiday. And the number of babies born in South Korea in July was the fewest for any July on record. The number of new marriages plunged by 10%. It's 5 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for tuning in to Arirang News. I'm Devin Whiting. The number of new COVID-19 cases in South Korea is now back in the triple digits. The concern now is the string of holidays coming up, during which potentially millions of people will travel throughout the country. To prepare for that, the government's preparing special measures to make sure people stay safe. Our Han Sung-woo has more.
South Korea saw the number of daily COVID-19 infections return to triple digits on Wednesday, reporting 110 new cases after 3 days below 100. Of the newly confirmed cases, 99 were locally transmitted, with Seoul and its surrounding area accounting for over 70% of those cases. The reported cases include cluster infections at office buildings and living quarters in Seoul's Gangnam-gu district and the Yeouido area. Health authorities are still worried about the upcoming Chuseok holiday when many people are expected to travel around the country.
How the next few weeks, which include the Chuseok holiday and Hangul Day, are spent will decide whether we can return to level 1 social distancing or go through a rough, risky autumn.
In collaboration with local governments, authorities plan to deploy some 3,200 personnel at tourist attractions across the country to create an environment safe for travel. Other precautionary measures will soon be announced in detail ahead of the special quarantine period beginning next Monday. While the total number of cases has risen, the number of critical cases has dropped, and no new deaths have been reported. The total tally now stands slightly above 23,200 infections, while the death toll remains at 388. Han Sung-woo, Arirang News.
The South Korean government will start giving out the relief funds from the fourth extra government budget this week. The government plans to make the payments before the Chuseok holiday starts next week to most of the people hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic. It's on a first-come, first-served basis, but anyone who qualifies can get the funds even if they apply later. Ji-young has the details.
The South Korean government will start distributing COVID-19 relief funds from the fourth supplementary budget this week.
The government will do its utmost to provide financial support before the Chuseok holiday to those hit hardest by the pandemic.
About $430 each will be given out starting Thursday to some 500,000 non-permanent workers and certain freelancers. The government plans to provide relief funds to about 2.41 million business owners before Chuseok on a first-come, first-served basis. Everyone else who is eligible and applies can get the money later. For small business owners who did not face quarantine restrictions, a lump sum of about $850 will be given to those who qualify. But those who had to shorten their operating hours will get around $1,290 regardless of their annual revenue. Those banned from operating entirely will be given about $1,720. Text messages are being sent to all eligible small business owners on Wednesday, and they'll be able to apply online starting Thursday through the website shown in the text message. The procedure requires only that they provide their business registration number, verify their identity, and enter their bank account number. Also, by next Tuesday, parents with young children will be provided with $170 per child under the age of 14. The government will also start giving out about $430 on Tuesday to vulnerable people with low incomes and to young people seeking work. Ji-young, Arirang News.
Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Dr. Yang Chuseok, Professor of Economics at the Catholic University of Korea. Professor Yang, good to have you back on.
Happy to be here.
Well, stocks on Wall Street closed higher on Tuesday, led by tech shares, despite new lockdown measures in some states. Here in Korea, those stocks did recover from their decline earlier in the session, but were basically flat. What's the story in the global markets?
Okay, well, as you mentioned, the U.S. had a fairly good day yesterday. Dow went up by 0.52%, NASDAQ went up by 1.71%, S&P was the big news. It went up by 1.05%. It snapped a 4-day losing streak. According to the analysts, the buyers waited until S&P fell by about 10%. Then after it fell by 10%, they started buying again. So the move seemed to have been strategic. But again, if you look at most of the news that's coming out of the United States concerning the near future economy, they're not good. The Fed Chairman Powell has said that he sees deceleration of the economy ahead. And I think that's giving the ideas to the investors that the Fed, even though they did reconfirm it last week, that they will maintain very low interest rates until at least 2023. That's encouraging them to put money into the stock market. So the discontinuity between the real economy and the stock market seem to be continuing. The European markets, following the U.S. markets, also did fairly well, rising about 1% more or less, depending on the market. Hong Kong and Shanghai, they held level or did slightly well. Hong Kong went up by 0.079% today. Shanghai went up by 0.17% today. Japan, Nikkei was practically the only major market that did not do well. It fell down by 0.059%. And as you mentioned, Kospi went up slightly. Kospi up by 0.03%. Kosdaq up by 0.09%. And for Kospi, virtually all individuals, institutions, and foreigners, on the net, they ended up selling rather than buying, but still the market index was level.
Well, now, shares of Tesla were down on Tuesday, though it was the long-anticipated battery day. Elon Musk and others unveiling the company's plans for new kinds of batteries, which will be a lot cheaper, too. They said there's also the interesting case recently of the electric truck company Nikola, which has been accused of fraud and whose CEOs quit. So a lot of interest in EVs these days. What stands out to you about these, Professor?
Okay, well, Elon Musk did make a lot of promises. I think the market is discounting a lot of it because, well, even though he did fulfill a lot of his promises, those promises were fulfilled later than the dates that he indicated in the past. So I think they're discounting some of the announcements that he's making, but he did make a lot of very interesting announcements. Even if they're late, if they are fulfilled, it should spell out some really interesting changes in the automobile market and the electricity distribution market. Elon Musk said that he should have a completely self-driving car by next month. Perhaps not for sale, but still for a demonstration model. And there would be an affordable model available in 3 years. This completely self-driving electric car should cost around $25,000. Then he went into details about what this new type of batteries that they're working on. They're working on a terawatt-hour scale battery, and the price of battery can be down as much as 50 to 60% from current prices. That's partially due to new processes that they are researching, and cell design and higher density cells, which will allow better, more efficient batteries. So the driving distance of self-driving electric cars would be up by 54%. Cost would be down by 54%, and investment costs would be down by 69%. And he defined affordable cost of battery as being $100 per kilowatt hour, and that should be achievable by 2023. If these type of batteries do become available, then that's good news not only for electric cars, but also things like renewable energy. One of the big problems with power generation in general and renewable electricity generation in particular is that they're very variable. For example, solar energy, on sunny days you generate a lot of energy, but on cloudy days they don't. If you can store some of that energy from sunny days to use on cloudy days, that would help the use of renewable energy a lot.
Yeah, and the issue of cost continues to come up. Really, it seems like the main issue. How will Korean companies fare in competition based on price?
Okay, well, Korea is actually up ahead of the United States when it concerns these type of battery technology. The United States seems to be actually ranked 5th in the number of battery-related patents that they have. The first is Japan, second is Korea, third is European Union, and fourth is China. And Tesla has said that they will buy more batteries from Panasonic of Japan, LG Electronics of Korea, and CATL of China. So that actually drove up the LG Electronics stock prices today. And in terms of company owning patents, from 2000 to 2018, the top patent holder is actually Samsung. So Korea is very well positioned in terms of batteries, and if the efficiency and cost of batteries can be brought further into line, batteries have as bright a future as semiconductors did about 20 or 30 years ago.
That's a fascinating prospect. Professor, thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
President Moon Jae-in has designated more special disaster zones in Gangwon-do and Gyeongsang-Buk-do provinces, which will free up state funds for recovery work and relief payments. According to the Blue House, President Moon approved the plan to add 5 cities, counties, and districts to the list, along with 19 smaller administrative districts in places like Busan and Jeju Island. Late this summer, South Korea was hit by 3 typhoons in succession. President Moon had called for speedy recovery work and for the disaster zones to be declared before the Chuseok holiday starts next week. The number of babies born in South Korea in July fell 8.5% from a year earlier. According to Statistics Korea, the number of births in July stood at 23,067. That's the fewest births for the month of July since data was first compiled in 1981. The number of births was lower than the number of deaths in July, which increased by 3.2% on year to 23,963. The number of new marriages fell by more than 10% from a year earlier, while divorces increased by 3.1%. To stop COVID-19 from spreading throughout the country, the South Korean government has advised people not to travel this year during the Chuseok holiday. So instead, this year, people are sending friends and families even fancier gifts than usual. Our Kim Sung-min has the story.
The lead up to the Chuseok holiday is always a hectic time for farmers, but this year, the Shine Muscat grape farm is extra busy. Often considered a luxurious type of grape, Shine Muscat has become a popular gift for the upcoming holiday as people are willing to spend more on gifts instead of visiting their families amid COVID-19 pandemic. These huge grapes are around 2.5 times more expensive than regular varieties. But with demand going through the roof, people working at the farm are spending their whole day packing for gift sets.
This year, we're seeing sales surge by around 30%. It is so busy that even our clients' employees had to come and help prepare the gift sets.
South Korea's largest retailers like E-Mart have purchased 11 times more Shine Muscat grapes than last year. Department store catalogs are full of luxurious products like king oyster mushrooms, dried yellow corvina, and wines. The most popular choice for buyers is Hanu, Korean beef. Hanu sets normally range from around $80 up to more than $1,000, and this year, the most expensive sets were more popular than before. According to Shinsegae Online Mall, sales of gift sets priced above $170 jumped by almost 200% on year.
I'm thinking of Hanwoo sets because they look the most luxurious. I want to spend more to buy something better than usual because I can't visit them this year. I'm also planning on having them delivered.
And the number of package varieties costing between $85 and $170 doubled. That is because the government has eased an anti-corruption law that limits the size of gifts for people who work in certain sectors, temporarily allowing gifts of up to 200,000 won, or about $170. Deliveries are also on the rise. Shinsegae said twice as many people are using its direct delivery service, as more people are sending love through gift sets instead of visiting their families. Kim Sung-min, Arirang News.
And that brings us to the end of this newscast. Thank you for watching. More live news coming your way at 7 p.m. Korea time.